I'm going to give you guys my top 10 winners from college basketball this past week. And to kick that off at number 10 is Florida State. They landed a commitment from Bob Miller, a 6'10" forward that is coming from the Spanish League. Some even say that he is the best foreign player coming to college basketball next year. His ceiling is extremely high. At number 9, I have Penn State. They landed a transfer in Michael Henn. He's coming in as an experienced player that should be in the starting lineup, if not play a very solid rotational piece for the Nittany Lions for the coming season. At number 8, I have Evansville. They landed 2 transfers this past week in Marvin Coleman and Kenny Strawbridge. Both players I expect to be starters this year for Evansville, and you're getting 2 guys that were impactful at some points in their careers. Kenny Strawbridge averaged over 10 points a game last season. Marvin Coleman also was a big factor on UNLV's team 2 years ago. At number 7, I have Maryland. They get much needed depth by landing a transfer in Patrick Emilion, also getting a commitment from Caleb Roger. Patrick is an experienced double-figure type of player that should be able to add much needed depth behind Dante Scott, Julian Reese, and company. Also, you get Caleb Roger, who could surprise us. I know a lot of people say he's an underrated prospect in 2022. He could be a player potentially that fills in the back end of the rotation for Maryland, but also has the potential to be an impactful player in the future. Coming in at number 6, I have Iona. Rick Pitino lands his replacement for Tyson Jolly and Jalen Hawkins. He's been a player that has been highly impactful for a very successful Norfolk State team the past couple of seasons, and should be a player that comes in and should excel at that point guard spot for Rick Pitino next year. At number 5, I have Buffalo. They get 2 pickups this week in the transfer portal. Cy Chapman, the biggest one, coming over from Illinois State. He's a player that's been averaging 13 and 6. Should be able to slide right into that starting power forward, so that center spot for them. They also land Joe Smith from Seton Hall. He's a player that I could see slide into the back end of the rotation for Buffalo this upcoming season, but most likely he will be an impactful player down the road for Buffalo. At number 4, Washington State. They get Mohamed Gay, a player that I think will be drafted in the 2023 NBA draft, to withdraw from the transfer portal and return to Washington State. They also get Justin Powell to transfer from Tennessee. He was a player that showed a lot of flashes his freshman season out there at Auburn. He's someone that obviously has to get his waiver of eligibility, having already transferred once, but he could be a very good guard for Washington State this season. At number 3, Washington. They get Keon Brooks, a player that I would not be shocked to see get drafted in the first round in the 2023 NBA draft. He's been a very solid player for Kentucky throughout his college career, but he now gets an opportunity to come into Washington and be one, if not the main piece on this roster next season. He's a guy that I think is a lock for first team all conference in the Pac-12, an incredible pickup from Mike Hopkins in Washington. At number 2, I have Arizona. The Wildcats made big strides this week in gaining depth to replace some of the players that declared for the NBA draft. Their biggest pickup is Courtney Raimi. They land him from Texas, one of the top 25 to 30 transfers in the country this season. He should be a player that slides right into the starting lineup for them and will be a potential all-conference player in the Pac-12. The Wildcats also landed a transfer in Cedric Henderson from Campbell. He's a player that averaged 15 points a game last season, is a bucket getter that should provide much-needed depth off the bench for the Wildcats this season. And at number 1 this week, Mizzou. They get debatably the number 1 transfer in the country this year, Isaiah Mosley. This is one of the premier bucket getters in the entire country. Not only that, but let me tell you guys a stat that he had this past season. He is just the 3rd player since 1993 to average over 20 points per game while shooting a 50-40-90 shooting line. I know he has not put up those numbers in the SEC yet, but I do not think there will be much of a drop-off. Him averaging 17, 18, 19, maybe even still 20 points a game next season in the SEC, being an all-conference SEC player next season, is something that I expect from him. He is that special, and he is a big-time player for Dennis Gates and Mizzou. And that is my top 10 winners from this past week in college basketball.